everybody. Welcome to Think About It. Once there was a king who thought if he could get answer for three important questions, he could never go anywhere wrong. His three questions, I'll tell you. Number one, what is the right time to start anything? Second question is, who are the most important people to whom he should listen to? And the third and the most important question which he felt was, what is the most important thing to be done from his side? So he proclaimed in his country, in his region, that anybody who could make him learn the answers for these three questions will be rewarded in a great way. So the news spread in his region, and there were scholars and learned people who were thronging to the palace with answers that would satisfy the king. For the first question, he got lot of answers. It was many people told that he should have a clear plan for each day, month and year well ahead, and he should stick to his plan. Only that will make him what is the right time to do right things. Whereas there were few other answers who told that it is not possible for a king to remember all these things together, and there should be a council of ministers who could advise the king about the right things on the right time. So the answers were many. There were few other people who told that nobody can predict this except for magicians who could do that. So for the second question again, there were many answers as same as this. Who are the people to whom he should listen to? And the answers were as priests, it were to the doctors, to the professionals, or it may also be like the scholars. And for the third question also, there were numerous answers from the side of the people. People told that the most important work to be done is to look into the religious worship. Few people told that it is all about looking into science and developing the region. And there were other few people who told that it is about taking care of the skills at warfare that will protect the country. The answers were too many for all these three questions, and the king became confused. He was not happy, rather satisfied, because he was not able to figure out the exact answers for the questions he asked for. So he declared and decided not to give the reward to any of the one who came with the answers. Then the king decided, let him go and meet a hermit who lives in the forest and who is renowned for his wisdom. But the king knows very well that the hermit never comes out of his place, and he is interested to meet only the common people. So the king dressed himself as a common man and approached the hermit's place. He left his bodyguards a distance away and asked them to be there. He approached the hermit, greeted him, and asked his three questions. Wise man, I have three questions to you, and I would like to get the answers for the same. The hermit was patiently listening to the questions of the king, as he was also digging, his a small portion of his area which was just lying in front of his house. The king said, my first question is, what is the right time to do right things? My second question is, to whom should I pay attention in my life? And the third question is, what is the most important thing that I should look into every time? The hermit smiled and continued doing his work. He was digging the ground. As I told you, he was digging the ground, but he was frail and weak as he appeared. The king took a note of it. He was very weak, he was frail, but even then he was doing his work. And he was breathing heavily when he was attempting to do that. The hermit did not give any answer. So the king approached him even after that. He got his spade from his hand and told him, you feel tired and let me help you. Now I'll do this work for some time where you can take a rest. And listening to the words of the king, he felt happy. He thanked him and the hermit sat on the ground. The king started digging the ground. When it was about 2 beds full, the king stopped working and pleaded to the hermit. He asked again, "Wise man, could you just give me the answers for the questions which I asked you before?" The hermit was not ready to give an answer even now. He just stood from his place and he showed a gesture to get the spade back, and he told the king that now you can take rest for a while since you had been working for a long time, whereas I will continue from here. But the king refused to give the spade back. He started digging and he continued his work. It went for a few hours, and it was a time where the sun started to go behind the trees. It was getting a bit late. So once the king became exhausted, he stuck the spade on the ground and looked up to the hermit. He asked him, "Wise man, kindly pay attention and help me to give the answers. And if you don't wish to do that, kindly let me know so that I can go back. I can return to my home." So when listening to this, even the hermit did not give any answer, but he told, "There is somebody who is running towards us. First, let us look into that." The king turned and found there was a man, a bearded man, who was coming forward, running towards these people, pressing his hands over his stomach, holding it very tightly, and the king could find that he was bleeding heavily under his arms from the stomach. As the man approached the king, by that time, this wounded man fainted. He was completely weak and he fainted on the ground. The king and the hermit together immediately unfastened his clothes and found that there was a heavy and a huge wound on his stomach. The king immediately took some cloths, the handkerchief, a towel from the hermit, and tried to heal his wound. First of all, he took him, washed his wound, cleaned it, and tried to bandage it with the cloths available. But even when he is attempting to do this, the blood was unstoppable and this man was continually bleeding. But with repeated washing, cleaning the wound, and repeated bandage given to that particular person, after a particular time, the flow of blood got stopped and this wounded man started responding to the hermit as well as the king. He asked for little water, and the king immediately rushed, brought him some fresh water, and with that the man felt a bit calm. But by the time it was dark and it was even cool, so the king and the hermit took this man into the hut and made him lie on the bed. For the whole task for the day, even the king felt exhausted and he too went and fall asleep. The next day, when the king woke up, he found he was in a mood that he was not even knowing that where he is actually. But even before getting into that state, he found that this man was looking at king intently, and he immediately started to speak to the king. The first word which he uttered was, "Forgive me." The king was surprised. He asked the man, "I don't know you at all, and you have not done anything wrong. Why do you seek my apology?" asked the king. The man replied, "You may not know me, but I know you very well. I am your enemy and I came with a revenge. It's you who executed my brother and seized his property. And I decided to take revenge on you, to kill you, and that's how I followed you. I came to know that you had come to meet this hermit, and I decided to kill you on your way back. But as I waited, you never returned. The day passed, but you never returned. So I came out from my hideout and started searching you. By the time, I was caught by your bodyguards, who recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from them. And it was with that wounds I came running towards you people. But actually speaking, I came to kill you. But if you would have not helped me, would have not nursed me in such a way, I might have never opened my eyes today. So that man continued saying, I wish if I live and if you allow me to do that, I'll remain as your faithful slave for the rest of my life, and I'll make my sons do the same. The king was glad to hear all this, and he thought he was so happy that he could make peace with his enemy in such a way. Also, he promised him that he would send his physicians to nurse him and make him get better. Also, he told them that he might get his properties back. After taking a leave from this wounded man, the king thought, once, for the last time, let me approach the hermit and plead for the answers. So he just came out of the hut and he was looking around for the hermit. He saw that the hermit was sowing seeds in the beds which was dug the last day. So the king approached him and requested, wise man, I pray to you, kindly give me the answers for my questions, 3 questions which I asked you. The hermit simply replied, you are already answered. The king was puzzled. Me? When did you answer? When did that happen? The hermit replied, the time, yesterday, if you have not identified that I am not realized that I am weak, I am tired, and if you have not come to help me in digging these beds, but you have returned back your way home, this wounded man might have attacked you. You might have repented for not staying with me. So the time which you spent with me in digging these beds is the important time, the right time, the answer to your first question. Second, the important man was me, who was there with you. And the third question of yours, the important thing to be done was to help me, and that was you did. And there is another explanation also here. Afterwards, the hermit continued, afterwards, when we saw this wounded man running towards us, the moment you received him, you started your best efforts to make him dress up the wounds and make him healthy and make him revive his life. And that was the most important time, the right time to do that thing. And the important man was him who was there with you. And your important business, the work to do was to help him, because that is why the only reason he is alive today. So friends, it is said that the important time in our life is now, this moment, because that's the only time where we have any power. The important person, people, is the one who's with you, because we don't know if there is anybody else who could get connected with us. It's not sure. And the third thing, the important business, the most important affair is to help that one person. And for that reason, we have taken birth in this earth. So this story of Leo Tolstoy gives you the answer for these 3 questions, which each one of us can cherish every time. Hope you all enjoyed it. Think about it.